Whether it's Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, or whatever else poison of your choice, you'll always be flooded by the things that are the most glamorous and exuberant that you don't have and want to in the ways and things that you are most interested about because it's an algorithm. But feeling bad about it is literal insanity, and here's why. We've all heard of the phrase before, comparison is the thief of joy. But from a psychological point of view, the reason that we feel bad in the first place is because of the way that our minds function in reality, and the ways our ego tries to mediate between reality and our perception of it, which is what ultimately causes that pain. In Freud's view of the personality, he saw ego as kind of the referee or judge between two opposing forces in our psychology. Our id, which is the part that wants for the base desires and our most instinctual needs, and our superego, the part associated with morality and higher thinking. With ego being in a constant tugging match between the both of them, trying to make their wishes real according to the reality principle, where it will create them into fruition in the most societally and reality accepting way possible. A lot of the defense mechanisms that we're familiar with in popular discourse is our ego just trying to soothe the discrepancy that we may perceive between what reality actually is and what we want, should, or believe that it should be. When you see someone that is younger than you but way more successful, working in the same field but making a lot more money, or working the same business but they somehow have way bigger names on their roster. It tries to create excuses, project and deny onto the world itself anything it can possibly do to make you believe that it is not your fault, whether it may be or not actually. It's why the term delusional exists. Your ego can't make reality commensurate with your perception of yourself or how it should be, so it just completely rejects it. So it will mess with your perceptions of that reality in order to make it fit in any way that it possibly can. That person didn't get the job because they're way better. No, it's just connections. That Stripe screenshot isn't real, they just photoshopped it. It was their best month. They hyperinflated the actual numbers, etc, etc, etc. Because it simply is just trying to fight tooth and nail to not have an identity crisis because of the things that you're exposed to. Even though your rational mind can probably deduce that statistically, yes, there are people that are younger than you and making more money or working the same job but doing it way better. Which leads us to our second point, is that social media doesn't help with it being the literal epitome of a status game possible. Everyone's self-worth is so tied up in that international landscape where everything is on the line and up for sale according to public eyes, that you literally put on the line the world's perception of you with every single post that you press send on. And when you're living with that ethos, every mildly interesting moment in your life becomes a possible candidate for content. As the technology and opulence of modern times emerged, literally everything has become mired in competition and contests, in seeing who can flaunt the most or make themselves seem at the top in the greatest number of things. An idea Rousseau calls amour propre, the love of the self in the way that goes beyond the basic needs for sustenance and goes into the way of hierarchical competition for resources and status. And if you step into that world, you're not gonna be pushed by your own plans and motivations anymore. You're just gonna be pushed by whatever status object is hailed into the public sphere. That's fantastic and all, but how does it lead into business and the overall thesis of this video? Well, if you're trying to run your business to make as much money as possible and become work optional, then this is gonna conflict with the unending need for luxury that is pushed on by greater society. Because it's all relative, it means that there's always someone that's doing better, making more, or in more luxury than you are. So it never ends, and that means that you can never step off that treadmill if you let yourself be reinforced by those rewards. The second is that you don't really know what kind of underlying conditions or advantages that they may have had in their journey. I've known people that were doing very well business wise, but only to pay off personal debts or avoid some disastrous outcome. Maybe they had a parent that done that business for 20 years and they're mentoring them. Maybe they ran other businesses before, you just don't know, and it's not fair to make a comparison like that when you don't have all the information and facts about it. And God forbid trying to use that as a measure to see if you're trying and working hard enough or not. The only real measure that you have is yourself, because you know everything that you've experienced, you know all of your advantages and disadvantages. You know yourself. If every day is ending with you leaving nothing in the tank and being just a step closer to your goals, then there's nothing that you need to do but let time drag you over the finish line. Yes, over months and years, even decades, depending on the goal itself. If you like this video or you found it helpful, then I have this video which is more practically oriented, and I also have a business newsletter with this kind of content but in reader's form. And with that, bye.